Hello, everyone.
Hi,
I'm Emma.
Armin.
And we can barely remember our own names today. Welcome to the Home Studio Hacks installment of the Hack Your Practice workshop series. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which we are broadcasting, the Gadigal peoples of the Eora Nation. We acknowledge the elders, past and present, and the young emerging leaders. We pay our respects for their ongoing custodianship of Eora lands and acknowledge their resilience and survival. We also pay our respects to all First Peoples present today. These lands are stolen lands. Sovereignty was never ceded. If you feel like sharing the country in which you are broadcasting from today, feel free to post it in the chat. We've got so much to get through today in our home studio hack session, so we're going to dive right into it. Let's just fiddle with a zillion pieces of tech, pretending that we know what we're doing. Okay, so quick overview of today's session. We're going to start with the absolute basics. We'll talk about there we go. We'll cover location, lighting, sound, camera, framing, and presentation. We'll then do some leveling up and look at some more sophisticated, sorry about the moving around, but I can't read the slides. We'll then level up and look at some more advanced sort of home studio related hacks. And then towards the end, we'll go into some things that you can use to level up, but which aren't free. And we'll present those on a sliding scale from cheap to prohibitively expensive, but we won't take too long to do that. Shall we dive in? I think
This slide is just
okay.
small.
We're using a selection of live material and some pre-recorded clips that we've done, some of which feature our favorite AI avatars. Okay, so let's move in. Oh, I forgot to explain that given that this is a workshop series, we're looking at studio hacks today. There was another session that I had to cancel a few weeks back because I was unwell, where we talked about video pitch hacks. And so we've pre-recorded that material. And what we suggest, if you're keen to have some material to work with at the next Hack Your Practice session, which is on video editing, you might like to watch that pre-recorded video about putting together a strong pitch for your research. Very useful for embedding in your website or sending out on social media. And then you will be well placed to use that material in our video editing hacks workshop, which is in roughly 2 weeks time, I think. Normally Christy Newman is here and they talk us through all of the logistics, but they couldn't be with us today, so we're winging it. Okay, at Hack Your Practice, we have a safe word. If you feel out of your depth or you want to say, please explain, you can do it anyway, really, but you can say nanu, which is the official Hack Your Practice safe word.
Christy will send a pre-recorded video.
Yeah, Kim will distribute that link. Yeah, Christy will handle that for us, I think.
Yeah, next week.
Okay, so shout out with a nanu if you feel out of your depth or you want us to circle back. Key principles in today's session is that skills transcend gear. And the expensive equipment that you might think you need to put together a really high level of home studio quality. It's pretty much the same relationship as a keyboard is to fine writing, like skills over gear all the way. And the other thing is that if we're working with a budget and we're working even with limited skill sets, constraint breeds creativity. Sometimes it also breeds really bad online lectures and videos, but not today, obviously. Okay, so for those of you who are very new to the home studio, if you're using your home for recording or streaming. I'm just going to show you a 3-minute video that I have made a few years back for my students. Some of it is a cautionary tale as far as production values go. So let's make this a teachable moment and look out for all of the editing and production value errors that I make in this.
When it comes to framing your face,
Ooh.
it's best to use a tight shot rather.
Oh, that's not correct at all. There it is.
Yep.
One thing that's absolutely not negotiable is audio quality. There are workarounds and hacks for just about everything else, but if the audio is no good, your options are really limited. Here's a few simple steps you can take to keep your audio nice and clean. Obviously, you want to avoid locations with a heap of background noise, and that includes background noises like air conditioning hum. I've got a heater in my office, it's really warm, looks like a really nice toasty fake fire. But if I have it on while I'm recording clips, it sounds like this. It's also important to choose clothing that's not noisy. And I mean literally noisy. So leather, quite squeaky, puffy jackets, make that puffy jacket sound. A lot of my early clips are cautionary tales. In one of them, I wore this really awesome glass ring that I'd chosen to match my outfit. Every time I made a point, it made a huge clunk on the desk. So take off any jewelry, watches, activity trackers that are going to bump against the desk or against your tech. Turn off your phone. No, it's hard. Avoid handling paper while you speak, and this is yet another good reason not to script your pitch word for word. And the other option, of course, is to hire or borrow a decent microphone. I've tried a whole bunch of different microphones. I started out with the inbuilt mic on my computer. I then used this thing, which is the USB mic. Didn't improve things much. I don't think it was worth the $70 I spent on it. What I've settled on is a wireless lapel mic. Although it really does pick up a lot of clothing sounds and it makes a crackling noise every time my hair moves. If you do hire or borrow a better quality microphone, make sure you know what pickup pattern it has. Is it directional, bidirectional, omnidirectional? And make sure you position it appropriately. Check and double check what visuals appear in the background of your shots. Don't forget that people can zoom in. So if you've got something stars up on the bookshelf behind you, people can potentially zoom in and look at it. Let's experiment with different lighting approaches. If you're talking to your computer like I am, brightness of the screen is going to affect the light on your face. This is what it looks like with the brightness on my computer screen turned down. And that's with the brightness all the way up. You can see it affects the lighting in my shot. Learning basic editing is going to be really useful if it's not mandatory. But if you don't teach yourself some basic editing, then you're going to have to get it all in one take, which is hard. Unless you can control at quite a professional level all of your lighting and sound, it's best that you record quickly in the same outfit at the same time of day so that the ambient noise and the ambient light stays roughly the same. One final thing that I do is to cover up my face in the viewfinder. Personally, I find it much easier to speak when I'm not looking at myself in some creepy reverse mirror. If you're a dyed-in-the-wool narcissist, you may love seeing yourself as you speak. By all means, watch yourself, but it may be worth covering up that picture of your face so you can concentrate on your delivery and your content. While you're recording, do your best to stay relaxed, keep your shoulders unhunched, be mindful of your breathing, but not too mindful. You don't want to overthink the breathing. You're leaning forward in your seat really tensely. You might want to kick back. Perhaps you might want to imagine, as I do, that the light that you're talking to on the computer is not just a little light, not just a piece of inanimate tech, but another friendly human that you're having a really lovely chat with. Maybe that sounds ridiculous to you, but when I'm speaking to my computer, I do like to imagine I'm speaking to actual people because I am, because you're there and you're listening, hopefully. Okay, abrupt ending there. I made that clip about a year into my experiments with home studios and video editing. My teenage daughter had taught me how to edit, very rough and ready. But hopefully for those of you who are just starting out on your home studio recording experience, journey, that has some helpful tips. Terribly overexposed, very grainy, really dodgy editing, many critiques to be made of that clip, but I think I stand by all the points that I made. Let's move on to location, and I'm going to flick over to our friends the AI avatars from Synthesia to give you a quick rundown on location.
Given that this session is called Home Studio Hacks and not shooting cinematic masterpieces out in the wild hacks, we recommend doing your recording indoors. In outdoor locations, there are way too many variables to manage, and most of these variables will be outside your control. Traffic, wind, passing jets, kids doing what kids do, random peeps who stop to ask what you're doing.
Hello? Hello?
Sticking to the relative safety of your house or office will give you a lot more control over your audio quality and the exposure of your clip. Choose a background that's plain and not overly cluttered. If you want to go for something more interesting than a plain old wall, choose something neutral or relevant-ish. Something like this, or this, as opposed to this, or this. If there are doorways, windows, wall corners, or anything else involving lines, try to make sure they are parallel or perpendicular in the frame, like this, rather than this.
Okay, so let's move on, unless there are any questions. Oops. Fiddling with the tech. We're going to go into the first super cool hack, even if we do say so ourselves. I mean, do you want to talk people through our location hack?
Yeah, so last session and in other sessions, people have been asking us what kind of software or platform we use that we appear like this, and the slide is up there. And it is Uhum, and Uhum is a kind of new platform, but the cool thing about Uhum is that you can select different backgrounds. It keeps things very high quality. And at the same time, you can make some changes in terms of the sizes and how you want to appear, and you can then add your slides and move yourself around. Then you can share whatever you set up in Uhum through Zoom or any other application you have, like Microsoft Teams or WebEx. And so kind of in whatever location you are, you can have a if you don't have green screen behind you, it would work pretty well. But of course, with green screen, the quality would be much better.
Yeah, and we'll get onto green screen in a moment. Does anyone use Uhum at the moment?
Yeah, I do. But I can never remember what it's called to look it up when I need to use it.
Oh, how do you find it?
It's good. I find it really useful. Yeah.
It's nice. It's a great way of getting a better ratio between your face and your slideshow. I mean, we're using it right now. In terms of cost for we just want to point out that if you're an educator, you can get a year's free subscription to at the premium level, and it really is worth having a play around with. It's fantastic for streaming, but it's also great for recording lecture materials, explainer clips for your site, and so on.
Yeah, I record all of my lectures with Uhum.
And then after the first year, if you wanted to stay on the platform, you'd be looking at $10 US a month, just to give you an idea of that. Okay.
Yeah, so while we have Uhum, probably some of you already know, in Zoom, when you're sharing a slide, at the top, it's one of the things I myself never noticed it like maybe a year ago. And we have this advanced. And if you click on advanced, then we have the slides as virtual background, which if you select it, it puts all your slides behind you. So this person here. But the only difference is that you would be part of the slide. You would be in front of your slide, unlike Uhum that you can be separated from a slide. You can move your slide to the side. But yeah, I think it's better than nothing if you want you to be part of the frame, which is very important in my opinion in terms of when you're presenting something, to have to let the audience see your facial expression as part of the slide, rather than trying to find you in Zoom at the very top or on the sides. And one of the problems though is that you can't use any animation or transition if you're using this advanced option in Zoom. So it just downloads these slides and you have to go through them as if they're images.
Yeah, so if you spend a long while working on a PowerPoint slide deck with fancy transitions and animations and you want to use some of this software, all of those will hit the dust. So let's move on to light. And, as those in the bees call it, exposure. Perfect lighting in 3 simple steps. Try something, see if it works, and if it doesn't, try something else. So I'm going to give you the basics of like the recommended 3-point lighting setup, but really it's all about moving things around, seeing how they look, and moving them around again, particularly when you're lighting a green screen. The other thing about lighting is that there are endless expensive lighting options that you can buy, but you can also do a brilliant job just by moving around and working around the lights that you already have at your house, particularly those clip-on lights. I have some of those positioned around the side of my monitor so that they light the green screen for me. If you've got lamps lying around, it's interesting to put them in different places to see how that affects the way that you look in your shot, and make the most of natural light. So the only warning I'd give with regard to natural light is that if you're shooting at different times of day, you're going to get a very different looking shot. So sometimes your friend, sometimes your frenemy. Another note too, that a lot of smartphones adjust all the light settings for you.
Yeah, the exposure, and you don't need to. Yeah, you really need the lighting, proper lighting, but when it comes to adjusting, the smartphones, they do it for you, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay, so just a quick tip, when you're shooting, if you overexpose yourself in a video like this shot here, it is it's impossible to get that missing data back. So if you shoot like this, there's nothing that you can use to improve your shot if that was a video. It's actually not ideal, but it is safer to underexpose because software is better at extracting the data and can lift the exposure for you and get you looking normal and lovely again, like I do here. 3-point lighting, very quickly. The idea with lighting is that you layer it. So you don't set it all up at once. You start with the key light. So that's your main light, and usually coming at an angle, although our key light is up here. It's at 100%. It's fully lighting you. Then you place a fill light, which, as the name suggests, it sort of fills your features. You normally have it so that the light is falling at an opposite angle to your key light. And then, strictly optional is the backlight. I don't have any room for backlights in this setup, but apparently they can create a lovely halo behind your head. But again, experiment. The constraints of the home office don't lend themselves to perfect lighting setups.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily need professional lights because in the screen it appears here these are like look like professional ones. You can do it with normal lights. It may bother your eyes. So one of the things about professional lights is that you can adjust them, and they have these filters on them that they won't bother your eyes. But I have one of the very cheap supposedly professional lights, and the rest is just like normal table lamps, and those things are put around and make the lighting proper. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, sound. Pretty obvious. Choose somewhere quiet. Turn off your device notifications. Put your device potentially in aircraft mode. If you don't have video editing skills and you have to do it all in one take, and then your phone starts ringing in the middle of it, you could waste a lot of time and effort. Quick word about your camera.
Yeah, so again, this is something you may know of, but You can use your phone as your camera, and because phones these days, in the last I think 5 years, they have improved the cameras a lot, and they phone companies, they want every phone to be a camera as well, and they're very expensive. If you use it as your camera, it's a win situation. It's a yeah, it's a great thing. So here's an example of this guy has tested 4 different cameras, and the bottom right one here,
I'm
this
trying to get
one,
out of the shot, but I'm just looking weird.
yeah, this bottom right one is the one that he has used iPhone 12 with an app, which I will talk about it. But you can see these other cameras are not that they're kind of expensive. You gotta pay to buy these cameras. And yeah, I think the iPhone 12 one is the best one among these 4 different cameras that this guy has tried. So suggesting that it's a good idea. Right now, we are using Emma's phone as a camera, and you can see the quality is pretty good. And this is how it looks for us. So we have something to put the camera on, and it's right in front of us, and we have image for that as well coming up. But yeah, this is how our setup look really. And there are 4 different situations when it comes to using your phone as camera. One is that you have an iPhone and you have a MacBook, so that's situation number 1. The other is you have an iPhone and you have a PC or Windows computer. The other situation is when you have an Android phone and you have again Windows computer or PC. And finally, we have an Android phone and a MacBook. And for each one of these situations, you may need a different application to different software to run your phone as camera. But I've chosen some to make it easier. First off, if you have an iPhone and a MacBook, you're in luck because that's the easiest one. And it's free. It comes with your iPhone and your MacBook. You just need to update your software, iOS and OS to the latest model.
And just to reassure everyone that there are some detailed instructions that go with each of these next slides that we won't go into now, but we'll put into the slide deck that gets sent to everyone so you can follow the instructions.
Yeah. So another cool thing about it is that you can run it through wireless, so you don't need necessarily to connect it to your computer, but it's always a good idea to do it because there won't be any lag when you're recording if you use cable, and also it drains your battery when it's using the camera. So having a cable connected is a good idea, but it's not necessary. So here is the instruction. We're not going to go through it, but you can try them later. And I explained then later how in Zoom, you have to go to the setting and select your phone as your webcam. And you can also select your phone as a microphone as well. So if you don't have a microphone, or if your microphone is not, good quality, you can give it a try. And there are further things you can do, further features to increase the quality of the camera when you're using your iPhone. And the other option is using Camo, and Camo covers all 4 situations, and it has both free and paid versions, and free version is pretty good. It will do the job. And if you see a logo, once you get Camo, you can remove the logo as well. So
with
yeah,
the free version.
Yeah, and unless they have changed something in the latest updates, but yeah, you can remove the logo as well. And yeah, it will do the job. It's much better than the computer, your laptop camera. And yeah, I explain again how you can do all these things. The most difficult one, unfortunately, is when you have an Android phone and a Windows computer. This combination is the most difficult one, but I have gone through the steps one by one. And yeah, then again, you go to Zoom and select your Camo camera this time as your camera, and then your phone becomes your webcam. And yeah, this free version. There are other options if you want to, look into them, like Droid Cam and EpoCam. From what I know, it's very cheap. I think it's like 11 Australian dollars, but it works only with iPhone. But the computer doesn't matter whether it's MacBook or Windows computer. All right, so those are the camera options, and yeah, The,
Yeah, you
yeah,
go.
so when it comes, yeah, again to camera stability is important. You may want to buy a tripod, or at university, I used to put on books like this on my phone like that, and it would work pretty well. But yeah, I didn't have that much option of moving things around, but still, yeah, it's not necessary, but having a tripod would make it much easier. And we will refer to a tripod. They are not that expensive. They are under $20. You can buy a pretty good tripod.
Okay, so onto the framing of your shots. I'm going to hand over again to, I'm going to hand over to her in a minute, but there's two main styles of orientation. We've got portrait mode here and we've got landscape mode here. And, you know, it used to be landscape mode all the way in every situation you could think of, but then TikTok took over the universe and everyone started shooting in portrait. So I still, you know, recommend landscape, but, you know, depending on where your material is destined for, you may have to shoot it in portrait mode.
Yeah.
And the way you do it is you
Yeah.
simply turn your phone on its side.
Yeah. So it's no question for me that like a no-brainer. Landscape for recording lecture presentation is always landscape. I can imagine doing it in portrait mode. Yeah, but you can give it a try if you want.
Okay, so a little bit more on framing from our AI colleagues.
Should be this
one.
Given that this session is
Oh,
called
no.
Home Studio Hacks and not
It is not that one. Let's see if it's this one.
when it comes to framing your face, it's best to use a tight shot rather than using a full body shot or even a 3/4 body shot. Extreme close-ups look strange, as do these Zoom favorites. A head and shoulders shot usually.
Oops.
Oh, sorry.
When it comes to framing your face, it's best to use a tight shot rather than using a full body shot or even a 3/4 body shot. Extreme close-ups look strange, as do these Zoom favorites. A head and shoulders shot usually works best. Position yourself in the center of the frame unless you have a good reason to be off-center. Make sure your webcam or phone camera is at a height so you're not looking up at your viewers or down at them. Most people are unlikely to want to see right up your nostrils, though of course you do you.
Okie dokie. Sorry about the stutter there. Two people operating the same set with a mouse each at a keyboard and one computer. There's bound to be some stuff up. So presentation.
When it comes to
Whoa.
We did create this in videos. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we created the videos. There's a chat question.
Oh, okay. Yes, I made the Synthesia videos and I'll touch on that in a minute. You want to do the video editing skills slide?
I have no recollection of what videos.
I do. So do you have video editing skills, yes or no? This is going to impact all aspects of the way that you shoot in your home studio. If you don't have video editing skills, you're going to have to rehearse. You'd want to watch a test clip, to make sure everything looks okay. You'd want to rehearse some more because you've got to do it in one shot. And if you do have video editing skills, or you don't, but you're planning to come to our Hack Your Practice video editing hacks workshop, you still need to rehearse. You still need to watch a test clip. But if you make mistakes and you know how to edit, you've got even just the most rudimentary video editing skills, we find that it's a good idea to, if you make a mistake, you don't stop your recording, you just pause, and we'll show you this in the video editing hacks workshop. When you're editing it, it's very clear from the sound waves where the break is and where you made a mistake, and it's very fast to chop it out. And possibly in the final session, the AI hacks one, will introduce you to some software that actually removes all those gaps automatically in your clip. So one last point there, obviously we mentioned that before, do it all in one session so the light stays the same. All right, leveling up.
Yeah, so we have two free kind of software by Adobe, and if you click on these links later and use your university email as password or ID, ZID, I think UNSW, you say ZID, right?
Yeah.
From what I remember. And yeah, password you can sign in for and use them for free. So one of them is the mic check. I really wanted to have something like this, and I discovered this very recently, like maybe 2 weeks ago. So you just simply click on test mic, and yeah, and then you talk for like maybe 5 seconds, and then you pause, and it tells you what's the situation here. And all of these are very easy to change and to navigate. Especially, I think the distance one is the most important one and easiest one to change, because yeah, this is something, if you're using computer or a microphone, you can just move it around. And yeah, in terms of background noise, you might be like, well, if there is background noise, it's obvious, which there shouldn't be any, like I should record it where there is no background noise. But in many cases, I always have this question that where this background noise, it can be heard in the video. And if you record your video and do a test run, and you want to listen to it to see if there is a background noise, and if the background noise is still there, you can distinguish it, whether it's coming from the video or whether it's coming from the noise itself. You will need proper headphones, so it gives you easily that information and about echo and everything else. So yeah, it's a very easy thing to use. The second thing is that it's more useful for when we talk about video editing hack. But even if you have background noise and your microphone is not that good, you can drag and drop the audio, and it enhances the audio very well. Like it's impressive. And there's a sample here later. You can click on it and then toggle the enhancement to see what's the difference. It's absolutely perfect. It makes very cheap, or even if you don't have a microphone, you're using your computer microphone, it changes it, transforms it to some kind of a professional microphone. And again, this is for free. And in video editing hack, we can explain to you like how you can use this audio and put it on back on your video again. So yep.
Oops, I've stolen the mouse. I was going to take the pointer away.
Okay, so the next thing, did you want to say something?
No, you
No?
go.
Okay, the next thing is I just want to quickly show you this video and then tell you what it's about. Which one is it? It's this one. Or this one. Or this one. I really can't say.
When it comes to frame.
Whoa, we've seen that many times now.
Okay,
It's all about to get a good grip of how AI, ethics, and law are connected, and what we can do to make AI more ethical. We need to look at how we got here in the first place. It's all about understanding history. It's unclear when exactly the story of AI began, but people have been dreaming about creating machines that can think, learn, and make predictions for centuries. But one really important moment in the history of AI was back in 1950s.
So when you're looking at me doing my lecture, you think I'm looking at the camera all the time, but I'm reading a script the whole time, and it's not clear because this is how I did it. So I put my iPhone right in front of my monitor, and I put the Word doc at the back, and then what is thing called, the ruler at the top. So let me just go to the next one, and zoom in. There you go. So yeah, I moved this thing. I can't remember what it's called, but to have my whole text in this narrow area, it goes to the bottom, the whole document. So it's always here. And the
Are you
camera
scrolling as you were talking?
Yeah. So the camera is here, but I'm looking at my text. As I'm reading, I'm scrolling down. But because there are only 2 or 3 words in each line, my eye doesn't move. It's always in the same place. So it seems that I'm looking at the camera the whole time, and I have memorized everything. It looks like those what YouTubers do, like as if they record things professionally. And yeah, the students love those lectures that, yeah, I just, as if I'm having the eye contact the whole time and play.
So what Armin's talking about is basically a DIY teleprompter, the ones that they use in studios, scrolling for you. But this is a sort of fast, quick and dirty hack to DIY your own teleprompter. What are we up to?
Next.
Oh, we're up to the question that often comes up, which is, how much money do you spend putting your home studio together? And over the years, it has personally amounted to a lot, but that's because it's like a special interest. You don't actually have to pay, you don't have to outlay any money, but you can level up quite a bit by outlaying just a few dollars. So we're not recommending any brands. I just wanted to give you an idea, and we're not recommending any particular platform for selling things, but just to give you an idea, this is like a highly rated smartphone tripod stand, and it's $13. So, really cheap and affordable. These ones are also very cheap, well, a little bit more expensive, but they have the advantage of having these sort of stretchy legs, so you can, wrap them around a light or something so that you can record at much higher levels, as in not higher levels quality wise, but like height wise. Let's move up to the $2 signs. These box lights, as Armin was saying, they can, they're not as harsh on the eyes, and they're actually not that expensive, but they're really bulky, and they're flimsy, they fall over. I've got a couple of these box lights, but I don't really use them because they're a pain in the butt.
But yeah, the video you just saw me lecturing, I do it with one of these light boxes, and they're pretty cheap, and the rest is just table lamp. That's all I do. Yeah.
The other thing that's relatively cheap are these ring lights that all the YouTubers use. I have one. If I'm doing a long lecture, I often use the ring light on a low setting, a long live lecture, because the key light that I've got up there is so bright that it starts to annoy me after a while. If you want to dabble with green screen, and green screens are so much fun. Like, for instance, you can wear a pair of earrings like these and they suddenly become see-through, or you can drink from a bottle like this and look all
Yeah, so yeah, once I put on a green t-shirt, and that was a messy lecture because I had only my neck and my face. The rest was empty.
So yeah.
So yeah, also Kim raised that the ring lights reflect circles in my glasses. I have that issue as well. So I think my previous pair, it didn't have these what they call it, the blue light. There's a barrier or whatever. I think those cause reflection even further. So my new pair of glasses, I can see all the reflections in it, but the previous ones, it wasn't like that. I really don't know if there is any actual hack for it, but other than you can put things, at 45-degree angle, I don't know anything else. But technically, according to what we talked about, you got to put the lights at 45-degree angles, and that probably would help with the reflection.
So yeah, if you're thinking of fooling around with green screens, you can, check out just any green fabric. It doesn't have to be a special type of thing. I started with a piece of crappy fabric from Spotlight, and now I have quite a classy green screen that I can pull down and put back up again.
Yeah, but once again, the lecture you saw of me is with one of those crappy green screens. So it's like a $25 green screen. It's not an expensive one. So all the things that I have end up very cheap, but looks very high quality.
So Kim wants to know what a green screen is. So basically,
you want to change the thing?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you, Kim, what it actually looks like here. We'll go to
no. Just click on. I don't have green screen. Just.
But if we do that.
Yeah, but it's not.
You'll see that. No, you can't see it very well, can you?
No, let me just try that, because I messed up a couple of times with that thing. Go back to camo. So see behind us. We just showed it for a moment. Yeah, so this is green screen behind us.
Yeah, so we've got a green piece of fabric behind us, and what it means is it enables you to put a virtual background. So what is actually behind us is a piece of green fabric, but because we're using we can switch out our backgrounds to be anything. Louise, it doesn't have to be right behind you. So the further back it is, the more problems or lack of problems you'll have with lighting it, and we'll show you quickly some of the problems. We can just get rid of our green screen.
Sorry?
Can we go back to our
Yeah.
oh, there we go. Oh, look now, the green, there we go. So yeah, it's just a way, and it doesn't even have to be, I think it's just tradition that it's green, that it's not a color people normally wear, because you can use a pink screen or any sort of
I think
monochrome single.
the best ones work with green and blue. There is a scientific reason for it, but yeah, green and blue apparently are the better colors. But the thing is that my hair is blue. When it comes with green screen, it just sometimes become see-through. I have that problem. Yeah.
Okay, so just because we're running out of time and running out of, where are we? We're on our slides. Okay, so where's it gone?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, green screen shadows. This speaks to your question a bit, Louise, but you can see in this picture, the green screen is crumpled, which can cause problems, and you can see that it's not as well lit down in one corner as it is in the other corner, and that can mean that part of you is see-through, or sometimes your background leaks through. So here's a picture of Armin and I fooling around with green screen effects, and what you can see here is that some of the background is leaking through because we hadn't, I don't even know where we weren't using a green screen. So one of the problems with, if you're using software that's used, can recognize a green screen, you don't have one, it's kind of guessing where you start and you end. Again, another quick hack, Armin taught me this one. This I took just before we started, and what Armin told me about was that putting a piece of fabric over the back of your chair, which I have, means that your chair is not visible in the shot. So my chair's here.
Again, that $25 green screen was very long, so I just cut it and put it in our chair.
Yeah. So very quickly, lighting green screens, you really want to try and avoid the amount of shadow. So, two lights, close together, crossing is usually the best. This is yet more of me and my amazing home studio setup, but we don't need to see that. Let's move up the dollars. Having a quality external microphone can be really useful investment. Like, they are much one of the more expensive items in the home studio setup, and you can fiddle with your audio quality using the applications that Armin sort of showed you before. But I think if you're doing a lot of stream, this is the mic I've got. It's on the more expensive side, but it's been really good. Okay, $4 signs.
Just before I go there, I don't know about other computers, but if you have the latest models of MacBook M1 and M2, their microphone is pretty good, especially the latest ones. If you have like 2019, they come with normal CPUs. They get overheated and the fan goes crazy. And even though they say the microphone is studio quality, it makes it absolutely crappy. But M1 and M2, because they are much better processors, the fans, they don't go high that easily. And yeah, the microphone is kind of impressive. So you don't need necessarily to buy if you already have a late MacBook here.
Okay, so the $4 signs, we're going to get to the crazy expensive home studio hack, and I think it was Victor that asked about it before. This is a platform that I use. It's called Synthesia. It's a way of making AI avatars speak, and you basically just type in what you want your avatar to say, and it generates your video pretty quickly. Here's one I threw together this morning just to show you.
Synthesia allows you to use a stock avatar.
Or create your own to generate somewhat stilted but still impressively lifelike AI avatar footage. We love fooling around with this platform, but don't think it constitutes a hack because it costs a lot of money. Okay, so that was, where have we gone? Here we go. Doinks.
Yeah.
This is what is good for. So yeah, Synthesia is very expensive, but it's super good fun. And the avatar that you just saw of me was the absolute, entry level webcam, not particularly good quality avatar. So it's still a lot of fun to play around with, and it uses another platform called Descript, where I've made where I've made a clone of my voice. So basically, it's a little bit stiff. It's not as expressive as I normally would be, but it's a fun thing to play around with. And less for impact engagement purposes, but
Mm-hmm.
we both use those avatars, to sort of
Keep it engaging.
keep our teaching as engaged as possible.
Let me just clarify the two questions. So about what is green screen? Whenever you want to have virtual background, like this one, this is not a real background. If you have a green screen, then the software can recognize what is real, which is you, and what is the background, and distinguish that. And then it removes the background, the actual background, which is here our green screen, and then puts the virtual one. And in terms of how far should be the green screen, if it's right behind you, then you probably will have the shadow problem, and your shadow would be on the green screen, and the quality wouldn't be as good. So it should be like a little bit further away. You can try, it depends on the light in your office, but you can try even up to 1 to 2 meters away to see how it looks. And yeah, probably would work in that way as well.
Okay, so that's sort of brings us to the end of our prepared content for today's session. We hope that it's been useful and that you've learned a few tips and tricks and hacks. We're happy to hang around for a bit longer. If anyone has any comments, questions, queries, if you want to go and fit your lunch in before your next online meeting or face-to-face teaching engagement, feel free to disappear.